So hopefully you should see me now. So
I don't.
okay, let me see. Let me pull mine up. Cause sometimes what
Hey
happens,
y'all.
hold on. Sometimes what happens is that um they don't, yeah, it shows me live, but I need to edit the privacy because sometimes it'll just say friends, which it does now instead of public.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Yeah, sometimes.
yeah, so now it is saying public. So let's do this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning into this broadcast. I am your international award-winning author, filmmaker, and empowerment specialist, Tennille M. Jackson. And I am joined by my fellow co-host of the Bread Builders, Miss Deann Mathews. How
Good
are you?
afternoon. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well. It seems like it has been forever. And so, for those of you who may be coming on, regardless of the platform, whether it is Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter, I'm sorry, formerly known X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to say hello to both myself and Deann, as well as let us know if you have any questions. For those of you who don't know, and if you can't see my background, this is the Bread Builders, and this podcast is all about building legacy one slice at a time. And so, on fourth Fridays, typically fourth Fridays, but this month was a little bit different because I had a whole little prom situation going on last week. And so Deanne graciously agreed for us to do it the fifth Friday this month. But typically on fourth Fridays, we are all about giving you your crypto education. Okay. And that is what Miss Deann D. Mathews is. She is our friendly crypto educator. And so, for those of you who may not know anything about cryptocurrency, that's what this podcast is going to do for you. And so, what we have kind of committed to doing is giving you an investment one-on-one session, right? So telling you not just, the basics about what cryptocurrency is and how you can get involved, but also why you can get involved. And Deanne, I'm going to actually start off by asking you a question based upon a reel that I saw that you put out. You said something about you said my book, because you do have a book that's all about this cryptocurrency, and you said my book is not going to help you to buy a Lamborghini. Do you remember that reel? You said this
Yes,
is
I do. I said that a
so.
couple times.
Why don't you kind of expound on what you mean by that? Like bring intertwine what cryptocurrency is, how to get involved, and what you mean with that statement.
Okay. So if you've been around cryptocurrency or heard about it when crypto's at the top of the market, people are basically selling it to you by driving by in their Lamborghinis. It's kind of a meme in the cryptocurrency world. And many things are marketed to us in terms of us finally achieving all the wonderful American dreams of avarice, of greed, and of materialism. However, as an African American woman who's well involved with understanding our history, the most important thing for all human beings to have is that word right there, freedom.
Freedom.
And
Yeah.
we're talking about financial freedom. I'm not saying don't get a Lambo. I have an old upright piano in there. It's the same age that I have. I played on it for more than 30 years. It needs to be replaced. And if I was going to buy that, I would buy myself a Busendorfer Imperial Grand that has extra bass notes because I love my bass. But it's not, that is a material item. Freedom is something that is greater than that, meaning I can do that or not do that. I ain't got to ask anybody else. I don't know if you noticed, but yesterday, not to get political, but we know that we have two choices of two senior gentlemen. And if you know the history on the sitting president and who he used to run with, that should worry you. But now the other one done messed up and got to be a convicted felon. So you want to have options. You want to have freedom
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, if you have to depend on these two senior gentlemen, if you need to depend on the state and municipal versions of their government, you need to depend on these corporations that are laying off people whenever they feel like it. I mean, I live in California, so that when Elon Musk laid off all those people at Tesla who couldn't get in the gates, that was right down the road for me.
Yeah.
So you understand how to work in markets so that you have financial freedom. And
Mm,
I'm not going to judge you if you want a Lamborghini, just like you're not going to judge me about the Buzendorf or Imperial Grand. That's your personal business. But you want to be able to have both of these
yeah.
options and many more. So when
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my book with history and the present in mind, freedom,
Mm-hmm.
freedom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. Why bother to do cryptocurrency? Bitcoin is not something that, even though it's in the legacy financial system now, it's not controlled and owned and run by these people. This is
Mm-hmm.
money that you can go get without having to ask anybody about it. You can go get it, you can go learn how to work with it. You don't need anybody's permission.
Mm-hmm.
Cryptocurrency in general is this. So once you understand how to work the system and how to work the markets, your skill is what really brings you money in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I want to kind of hit on that, like figuring out how do we maximize that skill set. But I also want to highlight first that word that you used, which was freedom. And I think that a lot of times when we are talking about, I want to generically use the term money. Okay. So, like, not in terms of a dollar amount. So, whether you're talking about cryptocurrency, whether you're talking about stocks, bonds, cash, dollars, or euros, or whatever your metric is, the whole point of money is to help you to get whatever resources or whatever it is that you need. I was talking to someone the other day and I asked her, I said, why is it that you feel you need a job, right? And she said, well, because I have bills that I have to pay. I said, so really what it is that you need, you want for the expenses that you have, you need for that to be paid. And if that was just magically paid for you, then you wouldn't be looking to work. And so the point that I'm making is many times people are looking or believe that they need to be millionaires. And the reality is that many people, is not that you want to be a millionaire. What you want is the freedom that
Yes.
comes with not having to go to work every day. The freedom with being able to say, or even if you did work because you chose to, for it to be able to be a choice, so that I don't have to work 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts. If that's what I choose to do, that's one thing. But you would like to have the freedom to be able to say, hey, I only want to work 5 hours today, or I want to be off of these next 2 or 3 weeks. And so this is what we're talking to you about when Deann is talking to you about financial freedom. This is one of the elements or aspects that cryptocurrency brings you. Investing in it in a wise perspective, this is what we mean. And when she's given the analogy with the Lamborghini, as she said, we're not telling you not to get one. If that's what you want, a Lamborghini, a Jaguar, Corvette, whatever you want, if that's what you want, go for it. But her point is, this isn't necessarily the focal point is not on becoming a millionaire. The focal point is giving you the ability to have that freedom so that you don't have to. Now continue to expound on that, Miss Deanne.
One of the things that's going to become increasingly important as we go forward, and by the way, again, this is non political because it doesn't matter who's elected. The
Mm-hmm.
economy is going to continue to change. Now, I just came from a show I do on YouTube called Our Aunties, myself and another um, black woman of mature age, Lovely Austin is her name. We do a show breaking down the things that are happening that are going to affect black women in a black woman specific way. And it doesn't exclude anybody else, but just when you look at the changes in the economy, who's going to be behind the eight ball?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when it affects black women, it affects black children in particular because the incidence of black women having to be solo parents is so high.
Mm-hmm.
But with the economy changing, with AI on its way in, with things continue to be mechanized, with the economy, with the inflation hitting us so hard, having one source of income, whether it be from the state, whether it be from a single job, just because of inflation, that's not going to get it. Meanwhile, people, you keep hearing, okay, you need to have multiple streams of income. Well, what does that actually mean? Well,
Mm-hmm.
that means you have a basket of things that have money coming in.
Mhm.
You might be, oh, I don't know, you might have great skill in writing and communication. So, you might go start APS, and in there you do editing services, and you have an agent. You may do agenting services, you may do writing, you may also call it artist promoting success at some point, and also include musicians and filmmakers. And suddenly, while you are continuing to serve your community, and then you might roll out and start a show called Bread Builders. And so while you are serving your community, you are also building up ways so that it's not just one thing, that people properly compensate you for everything you bring to the table.
Mhm.
Working in markets, okay, that was a lot. That was, of course, Danielle over here is doing all of that. I just big up to you. Anything y'all need communication, just get it from her. I'm telling you. Just put your money there. There you go. But in the meantime, you need to raise some money. Working in different markets is a way to learn how to buy and sell capital. You live in a capitalist
Yeah.
system. What does
Yeah.
that mean? Okay, money is one cash or credit. Well, let's go with cash because credit is someone else's capital, but that's a different show. Cash is one form of capital that can be spent to acquire other forms. So when we talk about cryptocurrency, this is a 15 to 16-year-old form of currency, depending on how you count, is 2008 or 2009.
Mhm.
But is a new form of capital that previous to this year had not been heavily bought up by the big institutional players. Now, I put out the book in October. Things have begun to change. We now have Bitcoin is now available. Well, let me back up. An traded fund based on Bitcoin and Ethereum is coming soon, is now available. But gobs of this stuff is available for you to go buy on exchanges for it, put it in your wallet, and leave it in your crypto wallet and have it.
Mhm.
So that's another form of capital that you can then learn to use to generate other things like the cash that you need to do your daily life.
Mhm.
Capitalism is all about effectively using your capital. However, if you don't have skills, the only thing you have is your labor. Now, as an African American, do I need to get into how dangerous that is if that's all you have? Because there's still plenty of people of the mind that your labor is worth zero. Do I need to explain it?
Come on. Come on.
I guess I will.
Mm.
Because for 246 years, the labor of Black people was coded for the benefit of Black people at zero.
Mhm.
Now, the amount of capital that was extracted from our labor is estimated at 13 to 20 trillion dollars. You
Wow.
throw some inflation on that, and you have a number that's almost as big as the United States national
Mhm.
debt.
Mhm.
So you're living in an environment, but that was 160 years ago. We're not in slavery anymore. Listen to me. You don't think there are people out there? I just came from a show describing Project 2025. This is not that show. But you don't think that people who had out their Confederate flags and Nazi flags just 7 years ago, you don't think people that were forcibly separating families, selling off the kids, and sterilizing the mothers as late as 2018?
Mm. You better come on with it.
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the third is still alive. Do you understand that that means that somebody who lost a war in 1865 named their son, who named their son, who named their son, who picked up exactly the same playbook and did the same thing that was done to our foreparents? You think those people have your best interest at heart if you do not learn how to use other forms of capital?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
However, as of this particular moment, can't nobody stop you from learning how to work in the crypto markets. The crypto bull run will probably last another 9 months to 15 months. Can't nobody stop you from picking up the skills and getting started with this.
Mhm.
So a lot of you are very talented people. That's why you're around authors and artists promoting success. Nobody can stop you from being able to take the skill that you have and learning how to work the systems that exist and getting things together. Not yet. This is still the United States of America till further notice.
Mhm.
So, and when I say till further notice,
At least
still
you know
be,
number.
I'm
Okay.
about to say, be thoughtful about what you do in November. I'm not enhancing because I just told y'all that
Listen.
we have We have the last of the Dixiecrats' heirs is in office versus the convicted felon who was cool with the folks with the Confederate and the Nazi flags. Please pay attention in your local elections to who you putting up there too.
Uh-huh.
But in addition to doing your political duty, you need to understand how capital markets work. And specifically, crypto is a cyclical asset. So are chocolate, flour, and sugar. Buy them all on September 30th. It's not financial advice, but just an observation. Because you know those stocks are going to go up. You know those assets are going to go up by Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
Chocolate's going to go up by Halloween. Not
Uh-huh.
financial advice, just an observation. That's what always happens. Crypto is a cyclical asset. Every 4 years, because of the way it's set up, because of the way Bitcoin is set up, it runs. Once you understand how to access cyclical assets, because the risk, well, let me back up, because this is a constant problem. Most of us think going to work and getting a check is not risky. What's risky about that is your whole future's in someone else's hands who may
That
decide.
part. Absolutely.
That is a
Absolutely.
tremendous risk, but we have just gotten pacified to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The risk here is if you don't know when to do what you can have, yeah, you can lose all your money here too. And that's why people think it's riskier because we have not been conditioned for the risk of markets. But why am I out here? This is like not even investing 101. This is introduction to why invest in essence. Because once you learn how things work, it's mathematical. And I'm not talking about whether you like math. I'm talking about once you learn that 2 plus 2 is 4 and it does not matter what you add, you don't have to like it. It's always going to work.
It is what it is. Mm-hmm.
Markets are big mass mathematical problems engaged in by numbers of people. Basically, supply and demand. We're going back to your basic principles of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
When people think something's going to be scarce and it's going to be more valuable later, they buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin halves. There's less fresh Bitcoin available every 4 years. That causes supply shock. Now that you got all these people trying to build their exchange traded funds, it's going to be even more of a supply shock. There's a report that says within 8 months from now, it was 9 months then, there will not be enough fresh Bitcoin being mined to even keep up with all the people that want it. So, what is the price going to do? Well, people hear that and say that's probably going to go up.
Yep.
It's cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
It's predictable as markets can be, because like I said, there are things we can't control, like the outcome of the election. But even if no matter what you think about who you want elected, that doesn't change the fact that around December there's still not going to be enough Bitcoin available for everybody that wants it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you understand how markets work, when you understand don't buy chocolate now because chocolate melts over the summer and it's not a good time, stocks go down, people don't eat as much chocolate in the summer for that reason alone. You got to have a cold pack and enough of things. Most people are not baking cakes in August.
Mm-hmm.
Who does that? I mean, it's hot already. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn what the math is and what the facts are, you come in and you work with the facts that are on the table. And why do you do this? Because the risk of you being dependent on everybody else is actually exponentially higher,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because too many people have already found out and way more are going. Anybody remember the Great Recession?
Mm-hmm.
63% of the people that lost their homes were black women with children.
Mm-hmm.
That's in that big financial report.
Mm-hmm.
And when these banks collapsed, all the jobs that connected to these banks also collapsed. And they called it the Great Recession because nobody could bear to say there was the second Great
Right.
Depression.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember COVID-19 and
Mm-hmm.
how the whole economy shut down? That was just 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember how 80% of your money disappeared if you were just someone who worked outside the home and had a job, and how suddenly you couldn't pay your bills because all that money was coming from that one place? But does anybody remember how many people found their ingenuity though and went on and started that side business they were thinking about? And a whole bunch of people took their stimulus checks and jumped in here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, and you're really touching on some good points, DM, because a couple of things I want to hit on what you said. Like when you said that we look at people at large, look at investing as being risky, and you said it's because of how we're conditioned. And I also use the E word, how we've been educated. We've been
Yes,
educated to believe that, okay, stock market, cryptocurrency, all those things are risky. But as you said, is simply just educating yourself more about how to invest so that you can maximize whatever your investment is. So you can maximize. So if I'm going to put in $100, just say, so I'll know what stocks or what crypto or whatever it is, what is it that I want to invest in, how long I should keep it in there. Like no matter what it is that you do, if you're not educated about it, you're going to come out on the bad side of it, which is to your point about what happened during the pandemic, because you saw the close of many major corporations because they never conformed to the technological age, right? Like because they never thought that it would be necessary to have online market. You know, there was never a need to create an online audience so that when the world, as you said, something that was beyond our control, it shut everything down. So if you're not prepared for coming, aka if you're not educated about what's coming, because a lot of things, it wasn't necessary that we could be educated about this thing, because again, at the president that we had in office at the time chose not to be, you know, really kind of letting us know everything that was going on. So he tried to, like, a little bit at a time, and then next thing you know, boom, it's a full-blown panic. But I digress to say that there were so many people who were not informed. We were not educated about what was going on. So all of those people that you would have thought were your staples, these stores will never go away. And you look up and now they're closing. Now they're gone out of business, right? And so here's what's the difference between this major corporation going bankrupt versus if you invest. Now, here's the thing, you have more control over whether or not the bankruptcy happens. If you were an employee with one of these corporations, they were giving everybody pink slips, you know, they were laying off, they were doing all of these things, and you had no control over anything but how you would respond to it. You didn't get to plead your case. It just is what it is. But here, when we're talking about cryptocurrency or whatever other types of investment, right now we're talking about cryptocurrency, you have full control over how much you invest, how frequently you invest, when you take your investment off the market. And so that's what, again, that F word that we talked about earlier, freedom. These are all the things that we're talking about, where there is a freedom that you have over your own currency, that when you're working for someone else, even though we've been taught all these years, yeah, work for these other people, that's still a risk as well, because that's somebody else's business. You have no control over when they are going to be ready to pull the plug. And many times they don't care, and I don't mean it in a malicious way. They don't care you know what the problems is that is going to cause you. They're looking at their bottom dollar. They're trying to make sure that they don't lose their shirts. And so you have to understand that you have to create some type of method of doing that same thing for yourself. So even if you do not choose to start your own business, the least you can do is start your own portfolio. And so to that,
yes.
Deann, I want to relinquish the mic and let you go ahead and chime in on that.
Okay, so here's the deal. How much money do you need to start investing in crypto? 5 to 10. That's
Mhm.
it. But that's not going to do anything. I started out at $15 a week, and it wasn't $15 that I earned. It just so happened that the cryptocurrency platform I was on split. And instead of porting the money that I had from there over, I turned it into Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So if you start on Hive, which is in the epilogue of this book, you can actually earn crypto sweat equity. If you think of yourself as a creative person, you can earn it that way. And the epilogue of this book will describe how you do that. But the thing is, start. If you're
Yeah.
going to do crypto, it's May of 2024. Whole different conversation in May of 2025. I'm going to
Mm,
talk to you about chocolate in May of 2025. I'm going to talk to you about flour and sugar again in 2025. Because Thanksgiving and Halloween and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day are always going to be coming. Cycles are important. But the main thing is start. And starter level, this is called, there's a name for this, dollar cost averaging. And it's just like if all you have is $5 a week or $15 a week, which is how I started. Um, and I was able to do that for a little while before those stimulus checks even arrived because I just chose this is what I was going to do. Start. If you had started in Bitcoin in October, I put it out on October the 30th. Bitcoin was around $20,000 then. It's about 60. Well, it's moved around, but it is in the 60s, low 70s today. So you do the math on that. So if you had $10, you have 30. Now nobody can guarantee it's going to do that again.
mhm.
But if you have $10 and you end up with 12.50, that's $2.50 you didn't have to
Oh,
ask anybody else for.
absolutely.
And when you learn how to obtain money that you did not have to ask anyone else for, and you learn that you can live that way, it frees you.
Mm-hmm.
And really, what I'm talking about is the same thing that Harriet Tubman and Ida B. Wells and all our Black women back to that time have been talking about. Getting the tools. And we don't discriminate here.
Mm-hmm.
As Ulysses S. Grant said when he went to the South for the first time, he said a lot of these other people here need to be freed too. They just don't know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're not discriminating here. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to see any human being in the world. I don't want to see my fellow United States citizens sitting up here panicking for the next 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you have the ability to learn skills in that same 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
that no matter what happens to you, you can make sure that you and your family have skills that will allow you to continue to, number one, survive, because that's delicate for some of us as it is. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you build upon these things and you build your bread, because that's the name of the show, then you can begin to look at I wonder what it would feel like to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave you with that thought today. But
Mm-hmm.
first, let's shore up our positions by getting some of these skills, and then as we build our bread, we'll begin to talk about how we begin to go up to these next levels.
You know what I want to do next month, Deann, and
Okay,
it's gonna be on you to do it because I'm gonna just share my screen. I
okay,
want to actually because we've kind of dropped the last couple months that we've talked about this. We've been encouraging them to, go ahead, get started, go ahead and invest. But for those people who may not know nothing at all, can we do a show where you're on your computer and you show us what platform
sure,
want to get started. So and again, it doesn't have to be the entire show, but maybe for 5 minutes of the show, we'll have you on the computer. I'll share my screen and you can walk us through, hey,
sure.
this is whatever the platform is, and this is how you start your cryptocurrency account. But
Okay,
between now and then, they'll hold that book back up because we're at the end of the show. She has been dropping so many nuggets to you guys. You can go to Amazon and you can get your own copy.
well, I'll put the
Or
link for y'all.
absolutely, please drop the link in the comment section. You can go ahead and get your own copy of Season the Bull Run for cryptocurrency for financial freedom. Is that the whole name?
Seizing the crypto bull. Well, can I get this close enough to hold on? Let
Go
me see
ahead.
if I
Yeah,
can.
hold it up. Yep, that's good. We can see it.
There we go. Seizing the crypto bull run for financial freedom is the
Absolutely.
full name, and let me see if I can act like I got enough chops to be able to get this in here without completely. Okay, now we got the echo. Nope. Okay, let me see if I can drop this in there real quick. Okay, it's in the comments now.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
let me see.
Awesome. So there you guys go. So again, on next month, so the fourth Friday in June,
I think
we're
that's the
going
28th, I think.
yes. we are going to give you all a treat, because again, people charge all types of money for this, and Deann does have courses and webinars as well. We'll talk about that next month. But if you are really serious about getting your crypto education, come and join us again. We are really starting, this is a 101. So if you've never done this before, if all of the other stuff is beyond you and you've never understood certain terminology or whatever, that's what this show is doing. We are helping you again, building legacy one slice at a time. And so come June, I'll be back on, like, I think I'll be done, got all my kids out the way. So I'll be able to get back normalized. But you know, 1 week I'll just be giving you entrepreneurship 101. 1 week we'll be doing insurance 101. 1 week, you know, so every week is different parts of what it means to build legacy, what it means to be independent, to have control over your own financial freedom. And we're not just telling you in generic terms, but we're actually going to show you piece by piece. Now, everything we give you will not be free, but the basic stuff that we give you will. And so the next fourth Friday, Deann will come back joining me, and at least 5 to 10 minutes of that show, she's gonna kind of walk you through literally the steps of what these platforms look like, how
Yes.
you yourself can get started, what all of that means. So if you've never done it before, and say you have 5, 10, $15, so you just don't go to McDonald's one day, hold your McDonald's money and be prepared for next fourth Friday. But thank you again, Deann. Go ahead with the final remarks.
Okay, and again, this is new, but it's not less risky than what you're already doing. Okay, and you know what I probably can do? I do have a course in which I'm on screen walking you through how to do this, but because Tennille Jackson has been such an influence in my life, I have a course and I have a newsletter and I have a book. I might do a special bundle price for y'all, so I'm gonna show you how to do it.
I
I
love
intro it
it.
for you, and if you're serious,
I
I'll
love
bring
it.
that price down
I love it. I love
because
it.
of the influence that she has been in my life. I might just go ahead and put y'all a bundle together to make it easier for you so you have
I
more
love
investment capital. But we got till next month to kind of work that out. But do be
absolutely.
here. And if I need to, if enough of you are truly interested, the Lord was talking to me about you might want to do some Facebook, YouTube live sessions. So it's great that the Spirit told you the same thing. We're gonna take all excuses off the table. If in May
Absolutely.
2025 you do not have 1250 for every 10 you invested, it ain't gonna be our fault.
That
I'm
part.
just saying.
That part, we are trying. And so again, we are not just talking about building legacy for ourselves, but we're going to do what we can to help you build legacy as well. So I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us. We're about to hop onto another meeting real quick, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. And again, if you're not already following Deann and myself, look at our links. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of these things. At My name is Tennille. For me, Deann, you can look at what she posted in the comment section and follow her. But we will be seeing you guys soon. And until next time, continue building your legacy one slice at a time.
Thank you for being here. Bye.